All right. We are still on the basic Photoshop tools handout. As we go down the line, we've done the cropper tool, the eyedropper tool, the paintbrush tool, the clone stamp tool, the eraser, and right below the eraser, you'll see that there's the paint bucket tool and the gradient tool. So I'm going to create a new file, new 8x10. And I'm going to show you right here, right below the eraser tool, we have the gradient and the paint bucket tool. So first we're going to start with the paint bucket tool. If I click on paint bucket, you can see right now my color picker is at this sort of peachy color. And if I come over to my background layer, if I just click on it, it's going to fill with that color. If I add a new layer and go over to my color picker and maybe change it to this like purpley color and click on it, it'll fill it with that purple layer. If I add a new layer and maybe I get some marching ants up on the screen, I'll go to the color picker and I'll pick another color, back to my paint bucket tool, and there's some green. Again, new layer. Maybe this time I do an elliptical marquee tool, grab the color picker, I'll pick a color, maybe this blue, and hit OK. Back to my paint bucket tool, I dump it in. One more time, new layer. Maybe this time I grab the lasso and make some weird sort of shape. I pick a color, how about some yellow, and I hit OK. I go back to the paint bucket tool and fill that in. So I'd like you guys to just make a bunch of layers using different selection tools on those layers. So here's the polygon. And again, I pick a color. I'll do this like red. Go back to my paint bucket and dump in some color. So if you can get at least 4 or 5 different layers on here, showing me that you understand paint bucket tool, wonderful. And then get a nice fresh layer. And let's go over gradient tool. So gradient tool is right here in the same toolbar. If I click on gradient tool, if I have a blank layer, I can grab my elliptical marquee, and again, back to gradient. You'll see right here, there's like a little teeny tiny gradient toolbar. There's basics, there's blues, there's purples, there's all sorts of colors, every color you can imagine. And what I do is I just click and drag a line, and there's my gradient. I'm going to actually put this on a top layer, so you can see if I click and drag a long line in this direction, or a long line in the other direction, or a long line in this direction, or this direction, or a shorter line, the shorter the line, the longer the line. You can also see at top that you can do it in a circle. You can do it kind of radiating out from the middle. You can do like this sort of star. You can do like this sort of roll. There's all different things that you can do, and you can even reverse the direction of your gradient. There's all different choices. If you want to get a new fresh layer and get some marching ants up, and then you go back to gradient, maybe you pick a different color and click and drag that line, and then add another layer, and maybe you get some squares, and again back to gradient. Maybe you pick another color, how about pastels, and click and drag that line. Awesome. So for gradients, I'd like you to do at least 4 to 5 different gradients on your page, and then save it as a gradient, and then do 4 to 5 different paint bucket examples and save that. So for this one, you're handing in 2 assignments, or excuse me, you're handing in 2 files. You're going to hand in a file and save it as paint bucket with your name with 4 to 5 examples, and then you're saving a file that says gradient and handing that in with 4 to 5 layers. If you need help, just ask. Thanks.